Hey guys, welcome back to our Star Citizen podcast. I am Logic, and this is Obsessite.
Unfortunately for you, hello.
Um, so this week we'll be discussing all the latest and greatest in the Star Citizen universe, even though there's not much this week.
Yeah, we went back to the two weekly podcasts again, and
There's still
yeah,
not
there's,
much.
there's not much to talk about, man.
I mean, there wasn't a whole lot this week in ATV. I mean, it was a little bit, but it wasn't like something you could like talk on forever. So I guess we'll start with the Gamecom's ATV. I think that's probably the wiser choice, seeing as that's the first one.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
So after Gamescom, it would appear that they got a ton of new blockers and bugs and stuff like that, and that kind of put a crimpener in your day.
Yeah. What were we at now? Let's have a look.
I think right now we're at 76, but we were at like 94, I think, for this week when it happened.
Yeah. I've just got the schedule report up from that week. Yeah, it was a bit disappointing. I think a lot of people were, well, not overly surprised, but they were, hoping it was going the other way.
Well, I mean, it's going to happen the same thing when it goes to Ivocati. I mean, I think they should have just released to Ivocati and then let the Ivocati get all these. I don't understand this whole new thing of like not wanting it to be like perfect for Ivocati. I mean, it really makes no sense to me.
Yeah, there's got to be a method to the madness, but it doesn't.
I don't think there's a method to the madness. I just don't think they want anyone to see it without it being perfect.
Yeah, well, there's an awful lot in there. I mean, the complexity of all the systems. I guess they just want to make sure that when any people outside CIG get hold of it, it hasn't got anything glaringly wonky, for a better way of putting it.
Then why?
Which I can understand. Yeah, well, I think this is not your standard release. I understand where you're coming from. The Ivocati is supposed to be there to find bugs and help fix it, and find things which perhaps CIG haven't found in QA. But maybe, I don't know, it's just too big for anybody outside to get hold of it if it's just unplayable mess.
Yeah.
It's got to be a marketing stroke PR decision, because of how long we've waited now for a major release of extra content. If it turns out that it's pants and you got
yeah, but even 2.0 wasn't pants, it was just buggy. I mean, even 2.5, all the versions haven't been pants, they've just been buggy. I mean, some unplayable in certain aspects, but at least they haven't been a bad game per se.
No, and I do agree with you. But as always on these podcasts, I play a bit of devil's advocate really and try and see it from their perspective. But from where we sit, better to let the Ivocati get their hands on it to help them mash these bugs quicker. But then the number of systems that they're joining up, which is obviously eclipses what 2.0 was. Maybe they just want to make sure there's no really dirty water that goes public, even though the Ivocati are NDA'd.
Yeah, I know. That's my point. My point is, what is the point of Ivocati if you're going to wait until the game is perfect before you release to them?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they get it down below, I don't know, 40. They actually send it out. I can't imagine they're going to want to do all 76, which they're at this week, which we'll get to. Because that could take him until after Christmas.
I think it probably will be a Christmas release. I think that's my new theory.
You reckon?
Yeah. At the rate they're going and how fast they're going and all these new systems that are coming in. Well, I know they branched off 3.0, but still, I mean, there still seems to be things they slightly add, like they're doing a new cockpit experience, which is, that's coding changes, and stuff like that. And this is the guy discussing the remember I mentioned that the sort of the bug that they said was a blocker, and it was just basically the fact that the door was too high.
Yeah, I remember.
And the animation was off,
Yeah, I basically, what you're trying to get at there is that it's not a blocker. It's literally just a moderate bug, in our opinion. But from a quality perspective, it could be seen as a blocker. I guess we have to look at it from the perspective that these priorities that we've got on the schedule report, so blocker, critical, high, moderate, are all from a quality of the release perspective rather than how badly it breaks the game.
Yeah.
And it's the quality thereafter. What's going on over there? Doing a bit of calisthenics.
Yeah, calisthenics, yeah.
Yeah, without their helmets on. They should all be dead.
Yeah, it's quite amusing actually, because I think that's just the way the AI spawn. That's my guess.
Yeah, well.
And then they have then they go off and do their own things when the gear's live. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that there's something in this week's ATV which I thought was interesting. That basically he said, I think he said that they wanted only to, like, they were just trying to get rid of the criticals right now to get it to Evocati.
Yeah.
And I was like, that makes more sense. I mean, before it was like, why would you care about moderates being go to the Evocati? That's nonsensical to me.
So if they want to get rid of the blockers and the critical, so that stands for what, 60 out of the current 76?
Yeah.
That would make sense, because the high and moderate ones are what the Evocati can help you with.
Well, yeah, I mean, plus they probably stuff like this, moderate. That one's probably a moderate, I would say. This where the stand with the animation was wrong and it was doing a jittery thing when you walked over to the door.
As long as you can use the door. If it's a bit jittery, it's not a breaker, is it? It's a bug.
It's a mildly irritating, moderate bug, I would say. If you probably even light, to be honest. I don't. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, there's not really a whole lot in this episode.
No, I mean, they talked about, they did a pretty good job pre-screening all the builds they sent to Gamescom, but they had to fix a load of stuff live on the show floor in between the builds, which could explain why the actual, the big finale, where it all went a bit pear-shaped live for Chris Roberts, was because, but it could be because obviously they'd fixed it so it was playable on the show floor for the people who came to Gamescom, but they hadn't necessarily gone through the scripted bit enough times to actually catch all the bugs.
Yeah,
because that would take a big chunk of time to go through what was I don't know, I didn't time it, must have been about a 30 to 40 minute scripted run.
Do you think we'll get say, for example, it does go to Christmas, like I just said? Do you think we'll get any extra features or extra ships?
Well, I mean, work doesn't stop on all the other bits and pieces. 3.0 is one thing, but obviously the ship pipeline doesn't stop. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some ships which were, some smaller ships anyway, that were touted into 3.1. So I don't think we're going to see the Phoenix in 3.0, for example, because that's a big ship to get finished. But then you might see all of the cutlasses, maybe the reworked cutlass red and blue, as well as the black. Maybe the Prospector's in. We know that much. I don't know what else we got, which we currently can't fly. Is there anything you're waiting for, which we currently can't get into yet?
No, the Reclaimer, but what Ben actually said that no, it wasn't Ben. It was Disco who said that the Reclaimer is not done. It still has the damage states to do and some other stuff. So,
it looks the same size as an Idris, doesn't it? Really,
this is pretty close. I mean, not that close.
Maybe we'll see the reworked 300i base model.
No, that's not going to happen. They already even started that. Maybe
true.
We'll see the Tumbrel.
Whoopie-doo. Sorry. maybe we'll see another. Well, no. To be honest with you, perhaps because obviously what we're going to have the Nox, we're going to have the Dragonfly, and we're going to have the Ursa. So if they had the Cyclone finished as well, then there'll be plenty of other bits and pieces to fly about or drive about. So the ground-based racing people will be happy. I can't see any reason why not. It depends on how far they've got with it.
I definitely feel that CIG made a mistake in planning. We're not releasing a version for nearly 10 months. There's a lot of people are really annoyed. I'm not super annoyed. I'm just like, ugh. just sort of getting exhausted by the lack of progress, I would say.
Yeah.
Or the lack of like, to me, they're pushing the boat out on this version when they don't necessarily need to, because it's still alpha, and yes, that people will be interested in it, but I think they're getting too, like, they think it almost feels like a release. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not as if it's going to be beta version 1. It's still alpha 3.0. So perhaps they could have done a 2.8, which included another map, which is ground based, that you could drive your stuff around, but you can't get in anything other than ground vehicles or do FPS on the ground. So test the moon tech maybe, and the outposts.
It just feels like they weren't very good at planning, in terms of like they should have done another patch, like something in between. Maybe they just can't, and all the tech is so intertwined that they have to do it all to say it together. But they definitely had a lot of feature creep during the summer. A lot of extra things like door locks and stuff like that, and breaching, and various other things that they added that obviously will take time to test and add. And
I think the switch to Lumberyard was a lot more fiddly for them than they've let on.
I don't know that it's Lumberyard. I just think that they're just trying to add too much at the same time. You know what I mean? Like too many things, too many cooks in the kitchen. You know what I mean? There's too many things going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I mean, obviously, a lot of people have been saying that, this face over IP is new, but it's not. That was back in the day when Wingman's Hangar was still going. That was going to be a thing. It's just that they've now decided on a technology partner and have wanted to show it to us. But yeah, it's mega complicated. They've gone way, they've literally just kept digging. They got to the point where they thought, yeah, this is going to be good. This could be the best down space in Emma. Then they thought, well, no, let's add in food and drink and
I don't necessarily agree with that though.
And O2 and all the rest of it. They've made it really complicated, which is going to be great when it's done.
Take a dump or something.
Well, they did mention that, didn't they?
I know.
This week.
Really? Oh, God.
Well, they didn't actually mention that everybody's going to need to go and have a turd every now and then, but they did say that, they're going to be adding that in. I mean, I was really impressed with the detail that goes into the actor system, which we'll come to for the next part of this. But it's hugely complicated in its own. Star Marine with the actor system, in other words, a first-person shooter with that much detail in it, would be a huge game on its own, let alone all the other stuff they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, they do have some cool things like, O2 gets exchanged, comes out when you breathe and stuff. So if you're in a room with oxygen, eventually you're going to run out of oxygen, stuff like that. So, if you're in a small room with no increase in no oxygen supply, or no windows that are open, you will eventually suffocate. And stuff like that. I mean, that stuff is pretty awesome, but I don't think they need to be, to have bathroom breaks every 2 seconds.
No, we don't. In fairness, we don't know what that's going to be like. They just mentioned it in passing. We don't know how invasive that'll be. The same with the whole idea of eating and drinking. It might be something that you, like a buff in an MMO. If you've got an eating and drinking in the green level or whatever that ends up being, you can recover your stamina faster. But if you haven't bothered, it's not like you're going to starve to death. It just means you're going to be at a disadvantage compared to other players who are paying attention.
That bothers me about those kind of survival games is like you have to eat every 2 seconds. I mean, if I ate as much as they do in those survival games, I would be at 400 pounds or something.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It is a bit nuts. They've got to get it right. Because people, I don't know anybody in the forces, right? But I can imagine they have a pretty nice breakfast, and then they go out and do their patrols and whatever, and then they might have an energy bar or something at lunch or while they're out, and then they'll have something before they go to bed. They're not eating all day, and these are the people who are actually fighting battles. So they need to. We don't want friggin'
Sims.
We don't want H1Z1 in space, do we?
Not really.
You know what I mean? They got to try and leave some of the fatty stuff out of the game, and in my view, the eating and drinking stuff, if it doesn't give you a buff, it's a fad, and it's just going to take the focus away from people enjoying playing the game and being in the verse.
Make it not fun, basically. I mean,
yeah, it could do, because you'd be flying about and say, right, I need to do this mining, but I've got to stop, not because my hold is full or I've run out of I've run out of bloody chests to put my stuff in. I need to go and have a dump. My prospector doesn't have a toilet, so I've got to stop and go back afterwards. You know, you don't need that sort of stuff, in my opinion. It's cool, but
I mean, you could add anything to a game, really. That's why it's a game, really. But you don't need to add
put in
stupid
sleep
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. What about it? You could add in a sleep system so that you make sure that you have to log off.
You get tired after a certain way. You have to go sit down or rest, just like in XCOM. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they need it, and I don't think they need it. I hope they just get rid of it because you don't have. If you play something like Warcraft, right? You can eat and you can drink, but all they do is either replenish your health bar or your mana bar, or they give you a buff. You don't have to. You can just not bother, and it's fine. And I just hope that's what this is like in Star Citizen when they put it in.
Yeah, facial animations are really good though. Oof.
Yeah, they look pretty cool. I'd like to see how that is with your standard webcams. I mean, I've got this, I think, pretty much the same webcam as you, which isn't a shit webcam. It's a pretty good one. But I'd hope that we don't have to buy one of these extra things to actually at least get the basic functionality out of it.
I don't think you will, because I think as long as you got 60 FPS on the camera, which we do, I think you'll be fine. I think that's one of the biggest things. I think is frames per second, so that they can measure the movement of your face.
Yeah, my biggest concern about it is just how they're going to transfer all that packet data in real time to the people who are in your server without it lagging. Otherwise, it'll be like a badly dubbed Japanese kung fu film. You'll have finished talking over VoIP, and then your character will be doing this.
Yeah. Well, you're all laggy because of Skype, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, that happens. It's a cross-continental Skype conversation, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in Blighty and he's over in California, so you're going to get a bit of lag. I haven't got a crappy internet connection. It's just Skype.
It is just Skype, actually. Yeah. So anyway, let's get to move on.
That was quite funny. That bit of video we saw there where the planet just disappeared.
Yeah. Oh, look at that Idris, dude.
It looks cool, doesn't it?
It does. I love the pink.
It looks like it looks really good. It looks like a big gorilla sat on its knuckles going, doesn't it?
It does a little bit. I'm surprised they actually land. I was like, do you think a javelin will land?
No, I can't imagine that. I reckon that'd be too big. Because you'd have to have ridiculously powerful VTOL thrusters to stop it from just crashing because of how heavy it is.
But how would you even find a flat surface that big?
Yeah, well, you wouldn't, would you? That's why I don't think you will. The Idris is big enough on its own. But we'll have to see. I don't know. I mean, the Idris does look cool, but I'm not entirely sure. Because the way it looks like, the landing ramp that they tried to drive the Ursa up. Yeah. It looks like that flaps down when it's in space to let the ships in anyway. But, does it need to go back like that when a ship's flying in? I hope it looks a little bit different when you're actually in space, because it looks a bit silly.
It looks funny. I wonder what he thinks of this. What's his name? The actor, I forget his name.
It's a cracking likeness, though, isn't it? Obviously, it is because he's been scanned in, but it's really, really good.
But I wonder what he thinks of looking at these kind of things where he sees his own face being adjusted and talked.
I wonder how long it'll be before somebody ends up playing all of his lines in Game of Thrones through his character in this game.
Oh,
I don't think that'll take long.
No.
I think that's one of the reasons why they're going for all of this high-end facial capture and all the rest of it, is for the machinima people to make something really cool. Because you could make films using the tech they put here, and I think that's half of the reason why they're doing it. It's not just for Star Citizen; it's for what comes afterwards.
Yeah, I mean they're adding.
Well, that's not what we're backing it for. We're not backing it for what comes after, which is a bit cheeky, really. But hey, we'll benefit from it as well.
Yeah.
The explosion on the Idris, that was awesome.
Boom.
Takes a while, but it's worth it. I'm going to shut up now and watch. Awesome. That's as good as anything you'll see in a film.
Anyway, let's move on to number 2.
Yes.
So let's just skip this rubbish. Okay, here we are. So we're now at 94 with 9 blockers, 62 criticals.
That was last week.
That was last week.
Or last week as far as we're concerned, because we're doing 2 weeks worth of ATVs in this podcast.
Yeah, this is the right one now. Okay, so
Yeah,
this is the guy here. He's saying we're just going to try and knock out the criticals so we can get it to Evocati. This is what this guy was talking about.
Yeah, he kind of let it slip, didn't he?
Yeah, he did a little bit. It was kind of like, well, maybe they did intentionally put it out there so that people would stop bitching. I mean, there's a lot of people really kind of upset, especially in like the Facebook group we're in, and even on Reddit actually. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of it are like Evocatis who are like, why haven't I got my shiny toy to play with yet? Or
no,
whether
I don't think it is
genuinely
that. I think it's genuinely like people like, you said it was to be out in June and it's now September and it probably won't be out until December. You know what I mean? It's like, that's like a 6-month bad guess basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, obviously
people
in development, I'm not the best coder on the planet at all. You're a darn sight better than me. And you know that sometimes things take longer when you're developing them because you come up with something. Either you come up with an idea to make things better halfway through, which means it takes longer, but it's a much better project at the end, or you're making something and you miss a bloody comma out or something.
I just find it hard to believe they couldn't have foreseen the fact that pushing all these systems together. After they'd done everything together, they completed all the features, and pushing them all together wouldn't create bugs. And it wouldn't create a lot of problems. I just can't imagine that wasn't in their mind. This is like pushing together like 18 systems together and expecting them all to work flawlessly together.
Yeah, I think what the problem they had there, I think, is that they had a load of different teams all around the world working on different portions of it, and they weren't playing together, on a regular basis to see, right, it does this work with the core branch. And do we have enough game testers to test it to make sure that there aren't any
probably
problems?
Part of it. The whole different, the fact that they're separated by continents, and even the UK and Germany even. I definitely think that is a concern, and it does add to their development time. But it's
the downside to follow the sun development. You've got 24-hour development on your game, but you've also got different people looking at it every 12 hours. Yeah. And that's going to mean that, if somebody's got their eye off the ball because they've got a hangover or they're not feeling very well or umpteen reasons, right? They could let something slip which somebody else would have caught. And that's all it takes is a couple of those. And then you find it out later and go, oh, bugger, that's caused problems.
I mean, some stuff like this whole pixel bug here. I mean, to me, they probably end up putting that in the critical or the blocker, but that to me is you see like graphical glitches all the time in video games.
Exactly. It is just it's a glitch. It is a bug, but I would say it's trivial.
Yeah, it's trivial at best. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I would say it's moderate because obviously you saw how bad the experience was as they were walking up. It was like loads of black boxes all over the screen.
Yeah.
That would look pretty shit from the player's perspective. So maybe moderate, but it shouldn't stop it from going to the Evocati to test it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, they're going for a high-end release type of release, which basically means like 4 to 5 months of bug testing, basically. Quality assurance,
I don't know. See, I mean, if they're spending this much time before it goes out to Evocati, I'm hoping that it'll only be in Evocati's hands for maybe 2 weeks before it goes to the PTU. Then a couple of weeks at PTU, maybe 3, and then it comes out. So we could be looking at November, but at this rate, they're going to blast straight past it. They're going to blast straight past CitizenCon.
Yeah, they never even get this out for CitizenCon. Not to live, maybe to PTU, but not to live for sure. I know
not unless they've got, unless they recruit Harry Potter to fix things with his bloody magic wand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. The rate they're going, the house fast.
This was really funny. This bug.
Yeah, it was. Someone did a great meme of that on Reddit, actually. Of like the guy when he does this. You said Evocati?
Yeah. Or you're in a queue and you want to speak to somebody outside, but you don't want to lose your space. Same sort of deal. And this is they're talking about the turrets and stuff, but unless they add in some sort of auto aim, I just can't see how they're going to make pinpoint accuracy turrets fun to play.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're heading that direction at the moment, based on the information they've given out. Maybe they'll be really easy to fire, but basically it seems like they're going to make it almost like a ship, like how sometimes it's hard to fire with a ship, can be. Like it's going to be hard. They should have a gimbal system, where basically like your turret doesn't move even though the ship's moving. Because that's one of the problems right now is when someone's moving a ship and you're trying to fire a turret, you're constantly fighting the guy who's flying around.
Yeah, exactly. So the turret itself has its own gimbals to stop it from moving away from the target, regardless of what the pilot's doing.
Yeah,
and that's what they need, because otherwise the pilot's going to turn to the left, and you'll be like, oh bugger, I can't keep shooting it. Yeah, exactly. That's what they need to do. But this is one of the things. This section here, where they were talking about, we had problems where somebody could stand outside and they without a helmet on, they'd be fine. And they said, oh yeah, but we use one of the lumberyard systems to fix it. So that's the sort of thing that I was referring to earlier on in the podcast, where I thought the switch to lumberyard may have been more of an issue, but more of a case is the lumberyard tool set made them able to do things slightly differently. So they had to go back and redo things again.
I can't believe that they thought that would be cool. Like,
what's that?
But this whole system that they have set up, like the whole these blocks that are like these O2 blocks, these oxygen blocks, that would work okay, like, but they can, basically they should be joined, you know what I mean? And that whoever made this, like put this together, didn't think, oh well, they should be joined because otherwise the O2 will escape, you know what I mean? I don't know.
I think what
is just crazy to me as a programmer. I would be like,
what they probably did is they assumed that the median piece in between, so the doors between each section.
But that's not how the system works. The Oxygen O2 system is a container system where within the container you.
Oh yeah. Again, it's one developer not talking to another developer and then finding out once they put it. Oh bugger! Didn't think of that.
And then you can't have it like that because
somebody could stand outside without a helmet,
right? And grab O2. Yeah.
Well, they'd be a window sucker, wouldn't they, really? Because if they actually moved away from the window, they'd be dead.
So they have to use a sort of like a weird polygon shape thing. Yeah.
But that works.
Yeah, it works fine.
That's how it should have been in the first place.
Yeah, it really should have been how it should have been in the first place.
Yeah, that's very much a facepalm moment, or requires the use of the Jackie Chan.
Originally, we were like, come on now, dude. You should have seen that one coming. But Anyway, what do we got? Nothing more interesting there. But so, I don't know that this was that. I mean, it was nice to see the fact that you can breathe in, and when you're in a room with oxygen and CO2, and when you breathe in, you breathe out oxygen, and the O2 in the area goes down, and that's just replenished. That's pretty cool, and also the animations of breathing are linked to the sound.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I like the fact that even if you're standing still, and if you're doing like jumping jacks, like basically jumping up and down, that is going to knacker you out, and you can't do that forever, right? Because your heart rate will go through the roof and you'll black out, basically. Yeah. Same as if you're doing other sort of things, like if you're crouching, same sort of thing. Keep crouching and standing up. That's going to put your heart rate up, and eventually you'll have the same issue. And it's good that people will have to actually fight tactically rather than just doing Call of Duty, run in, die, respawn, run in, die. You'll have to value your life. In other words, you'll be walking into battle as opposed to pegging it round the corner like everybody's got used to. So it could be more fun if people who want a bit more of a tactical gameplay.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, I'd prefer that actually. I don't like bunny hopping around a place. That's not really something I enjoy I used to, but less so now. More like, I guess, getting older.
No, we don't do LAN parties anymore. It's not the same when you can actually turn around and go,
parties,
we beat you. Yeah, you should do, but we're a bit far away now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's going to be fun. But the amount of detail going into just this one system, although it's a big one, just goes to show if they're putting the same detail everywhere else, that's why it's taking so long. But then you could also argue, why is there so much detail in it? It's almost like they're putting enough detail in there to make it it's actually just occurred to me now. They're turning it into a virtual existence simulator, which they could take all these systems out, sell them to anybody else who wants to make a 3D movie, and then they'd have all that there in it built in. So it's not just the pictures; they got all the other bits simulated. So maybe that's the plan. They're using the game to create this existence simulator, which they can use elsewhere. I'll still support it, but
It seems like a bit. I don't know, like a feature creep.
Perhaps
I've
got my tinfoil hat too strongly on my head.
I don't
right
think
now.
that's what
just
they're
occurred
doing,
to
but
me.
I just think they sometimes they take it a little far. I mean, really, do you really need to take a dump? Do you really need to, take next thing you'd be like, you have to take a shower too, otherwise people won't go near you because you smell, and stuff
Yeah,
like
they
that.
talked about that though, didn't they? The NPC, a couple of ATVs ago, they said that NPCs will comment on you if you haven't had a shower regularly.
I know.
I mean, that's just stupid. We don't need to know that. We don't want to play Star Citizen Sims, do we?
No, we're playing a Star Citizen exploration. I thought this was an exploration game, not like a cleanliness game.
Can you imagine wandering into somebody's freelancer DUI has been out exploring for 6 months and they have no shower? And you'd open the airlock and then the entire station just
it's not
collapses.
smell-o-vision until they actually get smell in the game. I think we can leave it out.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, Dave, I can't let you board right now. You smell too much.
And then you can rank the people in like the thing where you can hire people and be like,
how ranked
not
they are.
smelly, clean, clean ship.
Yeah, has questionable cleanliness
hygiene, questionable hygiene routines.
Yeah. And his beard is at least a centimeter long.
Leaves the door open when he takes a dump.
Yeah. This was a good segment. In fairness, I really enjoyed it. But we're just basically having a joke at their expense because of the detail that's going into it. Because it's kind of way and above anything we've ever seen in a game like this. But then this isn't a game like anything we've ever seen before.
Yeah, but it's unnecessary. Nobody wants to. If I want to take a dump, I'll go take one in the other room. I don't need to take one in a video game.
Maybe we should create a poll and say, do you want to have this in the game or not, and see how many people say yes or no. I think CIG would be quite surprised how many people just be like, nah, don't really care.
I mean, I think a lot of it is a fad because of all these like survival games and stuff like that. Even in the survival games, you don't get to take a dump for and stuff.
I don't think I'd want to.
No,
I suppose if you're playing PUBG and you can't find a gun, I suppose you could just squat and then use the produce as a weapon. I suppose lob it at enemies. Don't come near me, man. Oh dear. Yeah, let's just change the subject because it's getting a bit silly.
I think we're pretty much done with this, right?
I think this was just showing the details of what the effect of running about has on, because you can see down on the screen animations and heart rate and all the rest of it. This is the bit I was talking about. He's doing jumping jacks. You can see how much it has an effect on the characters. Heart rate's going through the roof. He's blacking out a little bit, and then he's doing the squats, which is good.
No, I agree. I think slowing it down a bit was needed badly, but it does mean you're going to have more people camping, sort of like top of stairs and stuff. Instead of running around like crazy people, you just have people camped at the top of the stairs waiting for someone to run by. And
yeah, you'll just have to check the corners, won't you?
Yeah. But
dirty campers will be an issue with these sort of systems. You're right, but when people get used to the maps, they'll find the spots that people like to camp, and they'll just lob grenades up there, or flashbangs, or whatever.
Yeah.
I just hope the game doesn't come up with bloody X-ray vision, because that's not something.
Well, you do have X-ray vision. It's called the audio system and the radar at the bottom.
Yeah, sure. But if you stood still, you don't actually show up unless you fire.
Right.
That's how it works at the moment, anyway.
That's a really good game coming out soon. Divinity: Original Sin. Have you heard about that game?
I never played it, but you played
the original.
I played the original.
Yeah, I played the original. Divinity: Sin 1 and 2 is coming out, and it's a co-op game, a drop-in, drop-out game. It's so you can. It's like kind of Baldur's Gate-ish, but you can have like people drop in and stuff.
A bit like Diablo, then.
Yeah, a little bit, except more role play, like Baldur's Gate combat. Not like turn-based, but more like not necessarily Diablo as action necessarily, but it's like a sort of mix of action and sort of old style.
Could be worth looking
It's
at.
got pretty amazing reviews so far, like 90, 95 and stuff like that. And so, I mean, it's a really good system. All the NPCs are voice acted, so there's no like text to read, which is great. Not
Cool.
that I don't mind reading text. It's just, it's nice to have people put effort into the game.
Yeah. The right amount of effort, as opposed to way too much effort in the form of needing to have a dump in Star Citizen trying to keep it relevant.
Maybe add these features after the game's released and forget about them for now and focus on getting the game out, eh?
Yes, I mean, perhaps they're just saying this is what's going to come in the future, but
No, but
we don't need it. We don't need it for Alpha 3.2, do we?
Or 4 or beta.
Yeah. Well, they can bring it out in the beta because that's fair enough. Because the game has to be feature complete if you're testing a beta, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, there's also that. So you maybe want to play that because I'm going to probably do podcasts for that one. So you
okay, yeah.
So you might want to like pop in, and you can pop in and be a dwarf or something.
What are you trying to say?
You'd like to play dwarfs, dude. You always like to play dwarfs. That's all you ever used to play on D&D.
It's either a dwarf with a big axe or
you can actually be an undead, I think, as well. So
no legs. Must be a bit boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
probably a dwarf, but yeah, we'll see. But this was good. This was showing how the suit can actually tell you what the atmosphere is outside. Because right now they're in a no atmosphere situation. He's going into the airlock and cycling it, so pressurizing the airlock, and you can see what happens in the top right hand corner.
Do they
the
have
mobiglass.
Do you think
that's pretty cool?
A O2 box like they did in the outposts for the entire solar system, or do you think that it's like more of a if you're not in a zone? No, they have to, because then they have to sort of tell you how much.
I think all ships and systems and outposts, everything like that, will have the room system built into it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, on a moon, you'll know what the atmosphere is, but it'll be either there isn't one, or it'll be thin, or it'll be Earth, depending on where you are. But yeah, I think it'll be everywhere. Be a prevalent system,
even in space.
Well, there is no atmosphere in space. You get outside and there's no air.
I'm sure there are some sort of elements in space floating around, but yeah, there is no atmosphere. But I'm saying like
it depends on anybody's flown past with their toilet recently.
Yeah, exactly. There's things in space. Someone's taken a dump and ejected it.
Yeah. No, I mean there are obviously going to be like radiation and that sort of stuff, so that will affect you. I would have thought that if they're going to go that far with air, they could simulate radiation, because there are a number of systems, I'm forgetting which one it is now, where the sun is so bathing the system in radiation that if you jumped out in your ship, if you went EVA, you'd probably cook yourself.
Yeah.
So they'll probably put that in.
Okay. Well, I think I don't really know that we have anything else to talk about other than other games. You play any other games? I'm playing XCOM right now. We both are, actually.
Yeah. I'm still playing that. I'm enjoying it.
Chosen. It's pretty good, actually. It's pretty. I mean, there are some issues which I can mod out, but yeah. It's overall.
Yeah, you've been getting a proper negative Nelly on your bloody podcast recently. Your
About
videos
what?
is like, oh, I fucking hate that. That bug's awful. It's like, Jesus.
No, it's just
want to play it.
I've played Long War too much. That is basically all these features should have been in the game.
Yeah, that's the thing. You should just almost every single criticism you've said is like, / not Long War 2. Stop whinging.
Yeah, but yeah, there's basically like they've not done these features that you could easily do. Like Gotcha is a mod where basically you can see.
Yeah, I use it.
And various other ones. I can't remember off the top of my head any other ones actually, but for some reason my brain is.
I added in Overwatch All and Evac All because I'm too lazy to keep tabbing to each soldier.
Right, that too. That kind of stuff that should have been in the game, and so should have like evac all, definitely, as you said.
But if everybody's standing in the evac zone, then the game will know that, because there's missions.
That kind of thing to me is like laziness, and like show health values is another one. Like just so you can, instead of the pips, like give me a number so I don't have to count the pips when I'm looking at.
I think some of it's a design choice. I think.
But really, why?
But because they know they got the workshop, though, people can actually change it if they want.
You don't design the game to basically be modded into being good.
Yeah. I mean, I could argue that the game is good without any mods on it.
But it could be better, is my point.
Yeah, true. And
So,
they have made it better, haven't they? The
yeah,
War of the Chosen did include an awful lot of the mods that we all
it did.
used
Yeah,
in Long War 2. So maybe whatever the next DLC for it is, or XCOM 3,
I think it'll be XCOM 3 next. Yeah.
will have the other bits that we like. But no, it's a great game. If you haven't played it, everybody, then you should.
You should, yeah.
I've murdered 2 of the Chosen so far. I've got 1 left to do. Murdered them. Although weirdly, I had a hard time with the assassin, and I just mullered the warlock without any problems at all.
Well, that's because you can just use Mind Shield with Warlock. You just stick a Mind Shield on, and he can't do jack. Basically, the assassin's pretty tricky, especially on Legendary, which I just finished here last night actually, and I'll put the video up soon. I've got
the hunter next. I got the mission to sort him out, but I haven't taken it yet.
So yeah, in Legendary or well, at least with me, my assassin, she could summon 2 heavy mechs every time she popped out of the thing.
I can do that. I think that's what Legendary does. It just tweaks everything up to the point where it's a nightmare no matter what they do.
And so basically, every time you killed her and like it recycled, she would come out, load 2 mechs up, and then 2 heavy mechs, so they had at least 18 health each with 3 armor pips. And then also they spawned an Andromedon, as you know, after she dies they spawn these 2 guys, and one on one plate, one on the other plate. She spawned like an Andromedon and like a berserker, and you stuff with lots of health basically.
No, like I said, I've been having a real trouble trying to sort out the Archon King who randomly turns up, but that's because I left the mod on by mistake. Not the mod, the other DLCs.
The Alien Hunters, which I don't particularly like that as expansion. I don't even play it. I
just think they're overly difficult to kill, especially when because he turned up quite early on in the game, and I'd only just had the Gauss weapons.
Yeah.
So I was just plugging away. Hadn't researched much in the way of additional ammunition types. So, he was just pummeling everybody. There was nothing I could do. He's still quite tricky now. Just keeps running away. I just can't kill him quick enough. But I've been playing XCOM and enjoying it. And I've also picked up Destiny 2 on the Xbox One. And I'm actually really enjoying that.
I'm going to wait for the PC version. I don't play controller FPSs. So.
Yeah, well, I'm not the best at FPSs on consoles, but the slight auto aim you get with them kind of gets around the wonky bloody control method. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's good fun so far. Whether I'll pick it up on the PC as well, I don't know. It all depends on how cheap I can get it for. Because I traded in some games.
Don't you get it if you buy it on the Xbox? You get it on the PC. The whole system that they do.
Not for every game. It depends on the manufacturer.
Okay.
Or the developer, sorry. But this one, no, I don't. It doesn't transfer over. But other games, like especially Microsoft Studios games, like Forza Horizon 3 is one of the ones I've got. That's cross-platform, and it also continues where you left off, so you can play it on the Xbox and then go upstairs and play it on your PC, and you're exactly where you left off. But unfortunately, not every game is like that, which I think a lot of it is bullshit by the publishers.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason why not. I mean, what's running on the Xbox and the Xbox One X, which is coming out in November, is pretty much the same platform as what the PC is anyway. If you can do it for one game, you can do it for all of them. So,
controls is a bit different on a PC, but yeah.
Yeah, but Microsoft should really be making everybody say, right, if you want to make a game for our consoles, you make it so that it can be play anywhere. And it will mean most people who play gameplay on PCs will be more likely to get an Xbox One X instead of a PS4 Pro, because they buy a game on one platform, they can play it on the other one. You don't have to buy it twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty good. I think, go on.
Have you played F1 Manager? F1 2017. I got that game and it's really good.
No, I haven't played that.
But my hands can't take the driving well on the controller. I need like a steering wheel, and I can't be bothered buying a steering wheel. So I just played it.
It's not cheap, is it? I mean, I haven't really played many serious driving games for a while, mainly because I just don't have the time to sit there and learn the tracks that you need to actually get a decent position if you're playing it on anything other than like the guys kind of drive backwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does look really good. I mean, I've saw some trailers and stuff, and the actual quality of it looks like it was
fun. I enjoyed it.
It's like watching an F1 game like an F1 race, right? Really. But yeah, no, I think at the moment I've got Elite Dangerous, which I still play.
Divinity's Original Sin coming out in a few days. You got that new South Park game. Oh my god, that game looks amazing. Did you see
Really?
that? Yeah.
Was it the broken in the something, isn't it?
Yeah, the butthole, basically. That's
Oh, crikey. Yeah, I didn't actually
really
play.
Good.
I have got the last one, whatever it was, the Stick of Truth or something.
Yeah, the Stick of Truth or something like that. The Wand of Truth.
I've got that, but I never actually finished it. But I did play it, and I thought it was funny.
They did some really stupid, well, not stupid, but ridiculous social commentary. But basically, like, your skin color is how difficult the game will be. So if you're black, the game is really hard. If you're white, it's really easy.
Well, so they went there then.
They went there.
I'm sure Jess loves that.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, the only other thing really on topic that we could talk about is it's a bit of a funny thing that I added to the end of the notes for this week. Is this the continuing use of stupidly wonky zoom on the videos?
They made a.
Did you notice it?
I did, and they made a comment on it, and they said it was because the people who were talking nonsense for a lot of it, so they had to cut it like together like ridiculous because they wanted to like make it make sense in terms of like what they were talking about, off on tangents basically. These people who are doing these, they're not professional like.
No. They're just you and me getting videoed whilst they're doing their day job. But just leave it on a standard friggin' Zoom setting. What's the point? You don't get any. Yeah, you don't get any benefit from like talking. Yeah, like that. Like, what's the you're watching this podcast, right? And we're talking. What's the difference between me like this and me talking to you like this? It's the same thing, except it doesn't add anything other than annoyance to people watching it.
There you go. Pop. So,
I think it was 31 minutes and 33 seconds I marked was the bit where it was worst. There was like a 1.5 minute section, and it was just literally almost every 5 seconds or so it was just stopping, and it was just
okay, here we go. This is it.
Yeah.
And
because I've commented on it before, but this was just like I thought they were doing it on purpose because they were talking about breathing in and out. What's that about?
Oh dear.
It's really professional. All the quality's good and everything else. But
oh my god,
it ruins it. Just set your camera up on the same angle, and that's all you need to do. And if they're talking bullshit, just cut it. No one's going to notice. And this is even more jarring than if they literally just cut it and the guy's head all of a sudden moves to a different position. It's just like, it's obvious. I sat here literally almost weeing myself when I was doing the notes for this, because it was just like, what's going on? Is it some sort of, piss take? Because it was like we're talking about respiration and breathing. It's like in and out. Is that what this was all about? But no, it's not. They're not doing the hokey cokey like you just said. I didn't see that comment.
I'm starting to cry now.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just really obvious.
Still laughing.
It comes to something when you get more comedy value out of Around the Verse than you get out of useful information, really. I mean,
I got more comedy out of it than more useful information this week. But
I mean, the section where they were going into real detail about the actor system, which was great, but it kind of went on too long. It almost felt as if they needed to fill it in.
They do this segment of like a 20-minute, 25-minute segment on actor system and the stamina system, and they did like a 15-minute segment on the moons. I mean, to be honest, I don't care about this. I want a 25-minute segment on the moons,
Yeah, and it's great to see, the way the UI does, and Zane Bian does a great job on the UI. I mean, the Moby Glass looks great, but
it does.
You could cover it in a post on the website rather than talking about it on ATV. But anyway, sorry. I've obviously started your day off on a good point after that now, because he's just smiling. Oh, dear.
It's a good one. Anyway,
just don't do it anymore, CIG, because it's just glaring and hilarious.
anyway, I think we should call this done. There's not
Yeah,
much
yeah.
else to talk
No.
about other than
So
just
hang on, this
giggling
other
about
thing, right?
CIG.
When do you think then that it's going to go to? When do you think it's going to come to general release? When's the
General
general
release?
availability? When's the
Wow.
general availability of 3.0?
Christmas-ish.
You reckon Christmas?
Yeah.
How long do
Based
you
on
reckon we have to wait till the Evocati?
probably Citizen Con.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the rates are they going and if they stick to their sort of like criticals gone, blockers gone system, I think they will, because it seems like they don't know how these bugs, how long they're going to take, no matter what they do. I understand that that could be the case, but I think they should help get more people to help squash these bugs, and but maybe they can't. Maybe they just there are bugs that only certain people will know how to fix. So there is that issue. But I don't see it. I don't see them releasing to Evocati before Citizen Con, because the rate they're going about maybe 15 a week. And
Yeah. Do you reckon there's a chance? Do you reckon there's a chance that they could just go, right, we're going to release it to Evocati and everybody else on the PTU?
There could be.
So everybody gets it at once?
Yeah, if they're doing what they say they're doing and they're not just bullshitting us, then yeah, there's definitely that case. That could be the case.
Because if we get to CitizenCon and it hasn't even gone to the Evocati, I think people will be starting to get really pissed off about it. Pissed off because it'll be a long, long time since we've had anything new. And obviously, putting it on the PTU, but making everybody sign an NDA so that you can't share footage for it, right, would be better for them if they haven't got to the point where Evocati are already testing it, than us waiting until, Christmas before we can even try and test it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're stretching themselves. They're putting too much into this one release. I think they're trying to make it like a universe so that the people will have something to do for a very long time, which is fine and all, but they really need to have planned it better and sort of like maybe they should have released a couple of ships or something with like 2.7 or something like that. You know what I mean? Just to like keep people entertained for a little bit or something. Another map on Star Marine. I don't know, something. I mean, they must be doing other maps on Star Marine in the background. I'm sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're bound to be.
Yeah, so I don't see that there necessarily had to be such a long gap between major patches. But anyway, it's just...
maybe they'll do something, along the lines of release it to Evocati and anyone who's currently a concierge member, for example, because ultimately, anyone who are in the concierge section have really backed the game. They've gone way above and beyond everybody else.
Concierge, I think that would be fine.
You reckon?
Yeah.
So subscribers, concierge, and Evocati all at the same time. Then everybody else waits until PTU after a couple of weeks. I think a lot of people would be happier with that than nothing until Christmas.
I'm just resigned to the fact that nothing will be coming till Christmas, and I'm just going to go play other games which are just as good. Like I love that game, the XCOM. I just love XCOM. Even though I get annoyed at it, it's still an amazing game.
Yeah, it is good. And there's sorry, the Zoom again just got me. I am enjoying it, and it is worth picking up. So if anybody who's watching this hasn't picked up the War of the Chosen expansion pack for XCOM 2, you should get it, because it pretty much revitalizes the game. Even if Logic does bitch about the the problems with it.
Well, I bitch about the fact that there's certain things in the game which should be in the game, because they know that they're well-wanted features. They're like the most downloaded things in the workshop, and there's no real reason not to put them in. I mean, they're not complicated.
What's the biggest omission then?
I think Evac All, Overwatch All, and Gotcha. I think those are, for me, the three biggest ones. There's no reason,
because Gotcha's kind of like, it's a slight improvement over what you get,
preview.
Isn't it?
It's like they already knew about it. It's not, and it took the guy who did Evac All and Overwatch All 3 days to add it. So
it's an oversight, and didn't the people who make it, aren't they one of that developer or the guys who
Pavonis?
made the mods who are now Pavonis, aren't they? So they could have just added it into the game, but I guess they just didn't want to.
It just baffles me sometimes. I mean, development time is valuable, I understand, and you could just say, "Oh, we'll just let the workshop people do it." But I mean,
It's a bit lazy, isn't
it's
it?
a bit. That's exactly what I was about to say. It's just a bit reeks of laziness, in my opinion. So anyway,
Yeah, I think we'll actually end at the same time they ended it there. I think we've said all we need to. Unless something ridiculous happens, we'll be another 2 weeks before our next podcast. Well, at least our podcast on Star Citizen anyway. And, like, subscribe. If you want us to tackle anything specific, let us know in the comments, either in Twitch or YouTube, whichever. And, take it easy. And if anybody is over in Florida, yeah, be careful, guys. It's going to be scary over there.
indeed. Well, thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you next time. Take it easy.
Take it easy.